I'd like to call the November 11th, 2021 Rutherford County School Board meeting to order. Mr. Spurlock, first order of business.
Yes, Colonel Rector's going to come up.
Colors, post. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let us all pause for a moment of silence. Colors.
Please take your seats. Thank you, Rockvale Junior OTC, Colonel Waldrop, the Senior Army Instructor, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Henderson, Cadet Captain Dustin Cressley, Cadet Command Sergeant Ryan Mayer, Cadet Major Destiny Jackson, and Cadet Captain Rebecca Gonzalez. One thing I would like to offer to you is Rockvale and Blackman last weekend competed in the Raider Nationals. 85 teams from around the country. That we had 2 schools from Rutherford County is remarkable. 2 of those cadets over there represented Rockvale. They were 6th in the nation in the one rope bridge, which is pretty dramatic, so I'd like to give them a round of applause. 103 years ago today, at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, marked the end of hostilities of the war to end all wars. We called it the Great War, yet there was nothing great about it. My family and many others was happy for its conclusion, as my grandfather was a commissioned second lieutenant of infantry at that date. 100 years ago, we established the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington to honor and never forget the sacrifice of countless service members who died with neither closure nor recognition. Today, I want to thank members of the Rutherford County Schools establishment who served in the armed forces of our country. The faculty, staff, and administrators who are veterans bring a special set of skills they acquired in their service that directly benefits our students. We must also thank the veterans who are the family members of our students, for they make the job of education easier from the values that they exemplify. Many of our former students serve today. To them and all currently who serve in our Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Merchant Marine, thank you for your service. Although this is Veterans Day, there is another group of Americans who wear uniforms that put their lives at risk to safeguard all of us every single day. Doctors, nurses, EMTs, and yes, medical technicians and researchers have waged a war of sorts against an unseen enemy, COVID. It has taken the lives of over 750,000 Americans, more than any single war we have ever fought. To them, we owe our gratitude. To our firefighting community, you wake up every day willing to enter a burning building to save another. Your courage overcomes fear, and you are not thanked enough until you show up. Thank you. Finally, to our law enforcement profession, at the outset of every shift, morning, noon, and night, you stand between us and danger. You risk no less than life itself, and I, for one, appreciate your sacrifice and service to us all. So, to all who wear a uniform, risk their lives in service to our nation, and put others before themselves, I offer you this poem written in another difficult time in our history. Dear Lord, lest I continue my complacent way, help me to remember that somewhere, somehow, out there, a person died for me today. As long as there be war, then I must ask and answer, am I worth dying for? We in Rutherford County Schools have an important job to do. We are training our replacements. To all who serve and have served, happy Veterans Day, and I bid you a good evening.
Thank you, Colonel.
My pleasure.
Wow, that's heavy. Moving on, item number 4, approval of the agenda. Are there any questions, comments, concerns on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Estes.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Does any member wish to abstain from a vote? Motion passes. Item number 5, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Does any member wish to abstain from a vote? Item passes. Item number 6 is visitors. We'll go in order of receipt. Our first visitor is Mr. Chase Williams. Is Mr. Williams here with us this evening? Okay. Our next visitor is Mr. Ryan McKee. Is Mr. Ryan McKee here with us this evening? No? Okay. Thank you. Next guest is Mr. Chris Littleton.
Hello, board. Have 3 kids in school. Good to see everybody again. Words tonight specifically want to address one of the agenda items that you're likely voting on, I assume passing, and that is basically the public engagement standards for these board meetings. We have done, on behalf of Rutherford Students First and the parents that I speak with and work with all the time, we sent you guys our problems via email. It's more than I can list here. We also provided alternative solutions that would not inhibit the rights of parents to get here. For instance, just the fact that myself or even one other person from our organization would come here would be a violation of those upcoming rules. That is prohibiting a parent, besides myself, from speaking from our organization. That's arbitrary, makes absolutely no sense. We could have 2 completely different things to say, 2 completely different points of view, but simply because we are members of the same organization, we would be prohibited from speaking under the new policy. A lot of what has been put, and I'm not going to cover all the 5 big problems I have with the policy, but a lot of what has been put up for a proposal is completely an inhibition of parents' rights to address this board. For no other reason other than, in some cases, the chairman could arbitrarily decide that what we're saying is repetitive or boring. That's ridiculous. And no one that I know or anybody that I work with wants the place to become a three-ring circus when anyone's here. We don't advocate for people being interrupted, shouted down. That includes board members and the people speaking. I don't want people running over. There should be a basic decorum and order, but that's possible to do without putting in place inhibitions to what parents have a right to do. And so this has become a standing point of frustration. You've heard me come before the board multiple times and just simply talk about it is fundamentally broken when a controversial issue exists that there is no discussion point for the public. The meetings have become a farce, frankly. The foregone conclusions, the discussions are a joke, the ones that happened earlier this week, so much so that there's misinformation that's actually spread in those meetings, such as you have a policy committee that meets. They do not dictate policy for this school district. They can offer recommendations, so can any one of you, so can the director of schools, but they're not binding. In that meeting, Tiffany said that there's really nothing we can do at this point. That's not true. You can vote this down if you want to vote it down. And if you want to continue talking about it, which should be the case with anything controversial and difficult, which is a good thing. Discussion's a good thing. Open it up. Make it longer term. Engage the public. Do what should be done when you're talking about inhibiting the ability for us to come before this board and simply have a discussion. That's wrong. So vote it down. There's just simply no reason to. There's nothing urgent. There's no threat that's pending. No one I'm aware of, at least, is issuing threats to you guys. I think that's pretty clear. So my encouragement to you is just vote this down. Let's talk about it some more. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next guest is Timothy Highnote.
Timothy Highnote, 2 kids in school in Rutherford County. I'm here tonight also with concerns, again, over the 1.400 and 1.402 policies. I don't stand here tonight just completely in opposition. I think some of what you guys have proposed is good. I do think that some of it needs a little bit of work. And it's the part specifically that I believe kind of infringe, or that not kind of, but do infringe upon parents' First Amendment rights to petition our elected officials. I know personally I've written each of you and have highlighted some changes that could potentially be made, as is Rutherford Students First. And again, I just want to be here tonight to appeal to you in person about this vote. The policy committee pushed it. I understand that. Most of the board makes up that policy committee. And I also understand that it's based off of the Sixth Court of Appeals. I took the time this week to read that. And in that, there were 2 specific things that were highlighted. One was the 2-day vote. Okay, agreed. But the judge found both in favor of the parents and in favor of the board. In favor of the board for the 2-day vote, in favor of the parents for what he deemed viewpoint discrimination when you can go against a parent and what they're having to say, because they found it offensive. They also found it that repetitive statements were linked back to viewpoint discrimination. There's no mention of signs or limiting groups to a single parent or representative. I'm concerned this policy is a powder keg for this board. I understand and believe that the board's intentions are not to violate our rights. I believe you. But unfortunately, lack of intention does not excuse an action. Parents are not asking for everything in this policy to be scrapped. We are simply asking that you reconsider this before voting. And as a voter in your districts, I'm imploring each of you, all of the board, to reconsider the policy it is written. It's been said by this board that we have great attorneys, and I have no reason to doubt that. But in the end, who is going to win and who is going to lose? It doesn't matter who wins in this case. But if this ever goes to any type of litigation, our kids are going to be the one that are going to lose. We're going to be spending funds that could be redirected back to our schools that are overcrowded, that we're talking zones for. And it needs to go back in to try to catch them back up from where we've been out for COVID. This is completely avoidable, and each one of you has the power to prevent this. I'm simply asking that you listen to the parents. We're your constituents. Please table this vote and reconsider the policy as you guys have it written. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all our visitors this evening. Next item is number 7, recognition.
All right, recognition. We want to definitely recognize Gene Stanley. good news.
Thank you so much for having me. I am Jean Saunders. I'm the Youth Market Director in Rutherford County, and I am here today to thank you all, Mr. Spurlock, our board, and all of the administration that has been instrumental in support of the American Heart Association. I am presenting today a Heart of Gold Award to Rutherford County Schools for being one of our top supporting districts in the state, with 24 schools participating in the Kids Heart Challenge and the American Heart Challenge last year. Students, faculty, and families raised over $121,000 for the important work and mission of the American Heart Association. So big round of applause for all of you, please. I want to thank you so much for all that you do. The American Heart Association has been working in schools for 42 years now. So I grew up with the programs in the schools and really can't remember ever not knowing what the American Heart Association did or what our mission was, because I learned all about it in the schools. And so when I say that we couldn't do what we do without you and your support, I couldn't mean that more. So thank you all so much to each and every one of you. And I would like to present this. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to follow up and just thank all the administrators and the teachers that got behind this and our students. I mean, this shows that where our heart is, no pun intended, and they're always doing that. I mean, they go above and beyond. Thank you.
Absolutely. Next item will be financial matters number 2.
All right, on the number 1, we've already addressed that on the work session. The joint resolution of opposition to appeal of the Rutherford County Collegiate Prep Charter School application. You want to come up and read the resolution?
This is the same resolution we read at the work session on Monday. I can read it again if we need to, but the county commission did approve this unanimously last night at the county commission meeting. So this is a proposed joint resolution between the Rutherford County Board of Education and the Rutherford County Commission, urging the Tennessee Charter School Commission to deny the appeal of Collegiate Prep Charter School's application. So that's the same resolution which we read Monday night.
What was brought up in both in the commission committee meetings and also in the full commission. We're not opposed to charter schools per se. We are opposed to this application because the application that was sent to us was incomplete. We did take another look at it, and there was not a whole lot of changes. There's no local representation on that charter commission, charter board, excuse me. And there is issues as far as funding is concerned in terms of providing them operating funds out of local taxpayers. So we have a recommend motion to approve this joint resolution by the Board of Education and the County Commission for this charter school application for an appeal as presented.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns or comments? Would any member like Mr. Reed to read the resolution again? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Does any member wish to abstain from a vote? Motion passes. Next item.
All right, number 3, Fund 177, Educational Capital Projects Fund. This amendment provides funding to complete the Buchanan Sewer Connection Project in the amount of $150,000. This was delayed last year due to the permitting process and also to budget for the Holloway HVAC project, which is the amount of $56,551. This was approved late in the fiscal year. And a completion of the window replacement at McFadden for $15,704, as well as additional funding for finished renovations at Buchanan, Stuartsboro, Walter Hill playgrounds in the amount of $107,000. Funding to complete these projects will be pulled from remaining funds from other projects as shown on the detailed budget amendment, with the exception of the $150,000 from Buchanan sewer connection project that will come from the fund balance, as this project was budgeted last year, but the project was but the project was a bid and it was encumbered for this fiscal year. Motion to approve this 177 Educational Capital Project Fund Amendment as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Item passes. Number 10 we covered at our work session.
Yeah, number 10, I just want to make sure that we understand number 10, that was at the works session on the 15th of, that's Monday, the 15th at Rockville, beginning at 6 o'clock. There will be a meeting, and I want to keep everyone abreast of what will take place. There will be some maps shown about proposed rezoning, and quite frankly, this is a listening time. This is not, any decisions aren't made or will not be made. All the information that's provided by the parents at the meeting will be taken in, and the board will study that. We'll also follow up sometime in December with another meeting, perhaps at Riverdale High School, and once again, that information that was acquired in the first meeting will be looked at by our planning developer and made application to that, and then come back and present finally in January here at the central office.
Thank you. Next item, number 11.
All right, number 11 is the Curriculum Instruction CTE Career. Curriculum Instruction CTE Department would like to allocate approximately $15,000 of their 2021-2022 Perkins Basic Grant Funds to support Rutherford County Works Ambassador leads in 22 of our middle and high schools. The purpose of this Rutherford Works Ambassador leads would be to develop the instructional capacity of the teachers, counselors, and assistant principals within our district to support Rutherford County Works Partnership. The leads would be responsible for attending in-person and virtual meetings and implementing the following opportunities at their schools: the work ethic distinction, youth science, work-based learning, industry tours, jump start job fair, 8th grade career pathway fair, and the ACT Work Keys assessment. The allocations are as follows. Each participant will receive $500 stipend for attendance and participation. Professional development sessions will be led by Rutherford Works and CTE Curriculum and Instruction Department. The Rutherford County Works Ambassador are as follows. Schools from Blackman, Jennifer Nossinger; Holloway High, Don Powell; Laverne High, Lauren Moore; Oakland High, Sherry Rogers; Riverdale High, Penny Kell; Rockville High, Jennifer Vining; Siegel High, Stacy Anderson; Smyrna High, Carrie Ott; Stuart Creek High, Marlena Dixon; Blackman Middle, Amber Thomas; Christiana Middle, Leah Moltz; Laverne Middle, Tiffany Copeland; Oakland Middle, Emily Mangrum; Rock Springs Middle, James Elliott; Rocky Fork Middle, Allison Kunkel; Rockville Middle, April Mongo; Smyrna Middle, Ellie Lee; Stewart's Creek Middle, Keith Young; Whitworth Buchanan Middle, Lucy Pittinger; Eagleville, Libby Sledge; Central Magnet, Jackie Crawley Harrison. Motion to approve allocating approximately $15,000 of Perkins funds to support Rutherford Works Ambassador leads at 22 of our middle and high schools. Each participant will receive $500 stipend for the attendance and participation of professional development sessions by the Rutherford Works and Curriculum Instruction and CT departments. School allocated number of participants are 22 in the middle and high schools to support teacher and student success as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Motion passes. Number 12.
Our number 12 is the Collaborative Conference and Committee. Pursuant to Section 49-5605, the Board of Education is required to appoint management personnel to serve on a committee following a majority vote in favor of the collaborative conferencing. Dr. Anthony, James Sullivan, Kay Martin, Brian Lewis, Suzanne Fries, LaTony Murray, and Larry Creasy are being proposed to serve on this committee. Recommend motion to approve the Board of Education representatives for Collaborative Conferencing Committee as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Motion passes. Number 13.
All right, number 13, we went over one on Monday night. We'll go to two. Lead Tech Teacher Supplement, formal presentation for the board, and it will be in December. As we talked about on Monday, Curriculum Instruction would like to allocate a portion of ESSER funds as a stipend for a teacher at each school to serve as a tech lead. The tech lead would serve as liaison between the central office and our instructional departments and help support technicians and library media specialists with basic troubleshooting and inventory of devices. Each liaison would receive a $1,000 stipend, and work would occur in addition to the educator's normal responsibilities. This funding would be approved as part of our ESSER 3.0 application. And Dr. Sullivan, was it 40,000 new devices that we received?
30,000 just an
30,000.
overall net, but we've replaced up to 40,000.
Okay, all right, that's a lot.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? No? Moving on, number 14.
All right, number 14 is found on tab 3. This is a Title II Professional Development. Educational consultant Kim Campbell will provide training to 4 middle schools. These middle schools are Siegel Middle, Blackman Middle, Oakland Middle, and Smyrna Middle. She will provide training to these schools on establishing meaningful relationships with students, creating engaging lessons, and energizing faculty members to stay the course of passionate teachers. The contract and agreement details are as follows. On January 3rd of 2022, there will be 2 sessions. One will occur at 8 o'clock to 11 a.m. at Siegel Middle. This will also include Oakland Middle there with them. And then 12 to 3 will be Blackman Middle and Smyrna Middle. The total contract agreement fees are $5,500. Recommend motion to approve these Title II funds to pay Kim Campbell to provide professional development training sessions for Siegel Middle, Blackman Middle, Oakland Middle, Smyrna Middle. Title II funds will pay 100% of this contract agreement as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Mr. Spurlock, I do have a question.
Okay.
How did we select these middle schools?
How did we determine those?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, those were basically, they used their own funding. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, one of the changes we made a couple years ago was our Title II funds, federal funding. We allowed our schools to have an allocation based on their student population and free and reduced lunch, and these schools chose to pool their money together to bring in a speaker.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. No other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain from a vote? Motion passes.
Okay, number 15, ESL Department Request. We have a couple here. Found on tab 4, purchase of language power kits for the teacher created materials. The ESL Department is seeking approval to purchase 5 language power kits for our English language learners in K-5. The language power kits are designed to facilitate both language and literacy in the beginning levels of proficiency. The total cost for these kits are $31,859.36 and will be paid from the Title III funds. The teacher-centered materials is the publisher and the sole provider of these kits in their letter of September 15, 2021. Recommend motion to approve the purchase of the language power kits for the ESL department as presented.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from members of the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Motion passes.
All right, number 2, purchase of Imagine Learning License. The ESL department is seeking approval to purchase 301 Imagine Learning License for our English language learners. Imagine Learning is a computer software program designed specifically for the development of English and literacy. The total cost of these licenses is $30,100 and will be paid for with Title III funds. Recommend motion to approve the purchase of the Imagine Learning License for the ESL department as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or concerns from members of the board? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. Thank you, Mr. Young. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item.
All right, do you want to take these one at a time or all? How would the board?
Madam Chairwoman, I don't know if I
Yes, ma'am.
speak yet. I was wanting to, considering that we finally have a new board member, but he's just not been sworn in yet, is there any reason why we could not hold this until the next meeting so Mr. Holman can join us in official capacity and he can take time to read through these policies and be able to vote with us? I really would like to see you do that.
Mr. Reed, can you come help us with this?
The board can table this to a future meeting if you wish to table that issue, all the policies to a future meeting.
I just think it would be the right thing to do since we have a board member and unfortunately he wasn't able to be sworn in to join us in official capacity. But I would like to make a motion that we table this till the next meeting. board meeting.
I second that. I would like for his area to be represented in this vote and have time for his constituents to be able to give their input. If that's a motion, I'll second.
May I just, is it proper, I would like to speak with legal counsel just to make sure that that's acceptable. There's nothing pressing in these policies that we need to vote this evening? Okay, wonderful. So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Hopkins, will you take the roll, please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Next item.
All right, number 17, facilities found on tab 6. This is a request from Stuart Creek Middle to install artificial turf home plate in batter's box area. Dr. Latoni Murray has requested to install the synthetic home plate and batter box area. This work will be at no cost to the board and will be funded through baseball fundraising account. Engineering and Construction has reviewed this request and recommends approval, and that means the Title IX, no not Title IX implications. Recommend motion to approve the request for Stewart's Creek Middle to add synthetic turf, home plate, and batter's box area at no cost to the board as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Motion passes. Next item.
All right, number 2 is a request from Smyrna Middle School to install concrete for synthetic turf for putting green and outdoor classroom. Dr. Takesha Ferguson has requested to utilize the $10,000 they received from the Richard Siegel grant to fund and install synthetic turf for the putting green and outdoor classroom area in the courtyard between the new addition and the existing building. This was requested at no cost to the board. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the request and recommends approval. Recommend motion to approve the request for Smyrna Middle to add synthetic putting green and outdoor classroom area at no cost to the board as presented.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or concerns from members of the board?
This may sound silly, but I'm assuming this is for the golf team.
I think it's not only for the golf team. I think it's for all the students when they let them go outside, and then the Richard Siegel grant funded it also.
Okay, that's great. I just
Exercise.
I've not seen
It's
this.
a beautiful area in between those two
I might have to
buildings.
go out and see that.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And so you guys that golf, don't be going down there and trying to do the putting green.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Any member wish to abstain? Motion passes. Next item, insurance update.
Our next meeting will be Thursday for the county at 1 o'clock.
Thank you. Number 19, director's update.
Yeah, number 19, I think we all know about the governor is going to be looking at overhauling the BEP fund. Actually, he's going to do away with the BEP funding formula, how we fund schools. Currently, how we fund schools is kind of resource-based. What he's proposing and what the State Department of Ed is working with and is gathering information on is what's called a student center allocation or a student-based allocation. What that primarily means is that, and quite frankly, I'm on my first meeting, I'm on a subcommittee for suburban municipal areas and fastest growing counties. What that means is, you know, they're going to look at doing away with the BEP. That will be done away. Everybody, anyone that knows that inside and out need to get a life, okay? It's very complicated, but what they're trying to do is have equitable services across the state of Tennessee. We know there's a very few of us that are actually growing, you know, and quite frankly, you know, we know that our taxpayers are burdened with some of the having to pick up the cost of some of what we do here in Rutherford County. For those you don't know, 53% of our funding comes from the state funding, 47% comes from local funding. That's our budget. The county's budget is over 70%. Of what comes to us in the county budget is over 70%. So what they're going to do is primarily, and I'll know more as we get into it, but I do know this much about it, is that we will develop, or the state will develop what's called a base amount that will be used to determine how a student, and keep in mind it's student center, how that student will be funded to educate that student in the school in which they are located. That base amount will be both state funds and both local funds. Now, one of the questions that was been asked, and I still don't have a real good answer, is fiscal capacity still have something to do with it? I'll be honest with you, it would have to. And then for every other area, like for example, as you get away from the base, the add-ons would be like for special ed students, with economically disadvantaged students, with students from rural areas that are impoverished, from students to are in areas that are growing like us. So it's going to be very interesting. This is supposed to roll out for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, school year, but we'll see how that works. You know, I think it's a great time. We do know, it's always asked, why can we not fully fund the BP? That's really not, you know, we can't fully fund the BP, but I think Mr. Boulder would agree with me, we can fund it better than what we're currently funding it. Most definitely, okay. So what it's going to look like as I go through these meetings, I will bring back and share to you. This is going to be a long, arduous process. We'll need to get to know everything we need to know about it. And the next meeting with our directors of schools, Mr. Boulder is going to go with me. I think it's on December the 7th, and hopefully we're going to have the Lane Agri Center scheduled to meet and talk about that. That's a little brief snippet of it.
Wow, thank you. Next item, Tennessee Legislative Network, Ms. Maxwell.
That would have been part one of what I was going to talk about. So you covered that. So I'm going to cover what the Tennessee legislature has been regarding masks and mandates. Everybody knows on Saturday, October 30th, the Tennessee lawmakers passed a sweeping bill to curb COVID restrictions, which included prohibiting public schools from mandatory masks except temporarily in extreme circumstances. Those entities would be only allowed to require masks if they lived in a county with a rolling average of 14-day COVID-19 infections rate of at least 1,000 per 100,000 residents, while the state is under a state of emergency. Our state currently is way under that threshold. Even mask mandates would continue under limited use. The school's principals would be the ones to request the mandate and come before the board. If approved by the board, could only apply to that particular school, not the whole district, and only up to 14 days. Everyone is waiting to see if the Governor Lee will sign it. I thought he was going to. I called a couple of my legislature friends. I thought he was going to sign it today. I have not heard, but if he doesn't sign it, irregardless, it goes into effect starting Monday. And I heard that even Shelby County was getting ready to dissolve their mask mandate. So as far as, that's about all that's going on right now, other than the BP.
I think he's signing it tomorrow.
Sign it tomorrow, okay.
He made an announcement, sign tomorrow. And we're still waiting on, can you talk about that real quick about the quarantine, what we have to wait for?
We have to wait for guidance. Thank you.
We have to wait for guidance from the Tennessee Commissioner of Health as far as what the new quarantine rules will be, if any. And so once those laws go into effect, whenever the governor signs them, or if he doesn't after this weekend, then we are thinking that the Tennessee Commissioner of Health will give some guidance on what the quarantine rules will be.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Do you have anything for federal relations this
Only on the federal, not much. There's haven't been any federal mandates or for mask or vaccines to hand it down to the school system. There is a lot. If they pass that 1.75 trillion bill, there's a lot for education in that. But so far, it hasn't been passed yet. So that's everything.
Thank you.
We're still fighting that bill of OSHA thing. You want to speak on that a little bit, Doug, about what, what was proposed or signed into the law?
We're talking about that emergency order from.
Yep.
Yeah.
When Ms. Spurlock and I had lunch with Marsha Blackburn the other day, she discussed on that and said about, she spoke on the federal appellate judge ruling saying that have a hold on that till they're reviewing it. So at this point, we're just watching it to see.
You want to tell about the impact it could have on us? It could have a severe impact on us. I'll just leave it at that. So if there's anyone can pull some weight on that, let's do it.
Thank you. Number 22, general discussion.
I've got go ahead, miss. Go ahead. Okay, back to the BEP formula. I actually went to the town hall up in Hendersonville. That was the only one for Middle Tennessee. And I did speak. I was the first speaker, so y'all can find that. But I did talk to Penny Schwinn, or Commissioner Schwinn, about fully funding our nurses, funding our deferred maintenance, funding our ESL students, and then also funding, I know we get federal funding for our SPED students, but we need more money. Everybody knows we need more money for them. So, everybody said, we just need more money, we need more money. I said, no, this is what we need to look at, because those, the BEP, you can talk to the legislators and it's fully funded. Yes, it is fully funded for that calculation, but that calculation is much like our unemployment insurance that's decades old. It's fully funded too, but it's $250 a week. And nobody can live on $250 a week. So it was a good discussion, and I'm sorry that there's not any more that were around this area. The rest of them were either West Tennessee or way far East Tennessee, and then Knoxville or Chattanooga. So, but it was a good discussion, and everybody, if you want to, they sent out the video, watch the video and see the other discussions that were there. So it was a good one. It was a good one.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Ms. Bratton?
As the retiree on our insurance committee, I have been getting lots of questions from people who, like me, have retired, and of course they are concerned about changing our insurance, as they well should be. I keep assuring them it's my insurance too, not to worry too much. But I would like at this time to ask that the board let Mr. Bodery know that we want to continue to explore the state plan, that we would like a question and answer session for both teachers, employees, and then retirees, because they're different. And we would like to maybe see more of a comparison of the two programs. So those are the things that have come to the surface for me, and so I'm going to assume that they are also coming to the surface, Dr. Anthony, with the rest of our employees.
Thank you. I think more information is always a wonderful thing, and clarity. I appreciate the presentation that we had at the work session, but I do think we need to continue with more information. So, thank you.
Is there anything else you need from this board to help navigate that?
That gives us direction, and we'll continue to. Okay. I spoke with the state reps this afternoon, and they said that if it's the will of this board to continue researching this, they said they will get as detailed as you want. anything. And they said that they would definitely have something, you know, a listening session to give information to each of the groups that Ms. Bratton
Good.
pointed out, including our retirees, so they have a voice that they can ask their questions and get
Absolutely.
answers.
And
Thank
perhaps a Zoom or something that's not during the day, or something that our teachers can easily attend.
Yeah, we can have something after school.
Yeah.
I don't know about anyone else, but I think Zoom is difficult for retirees. I think, they're nodding at me. I think they would like to be in person. So, but I think we need to have this when it's convenient for our employees and for our retirees. I agree, Ms. Sharp.
Agree. Any other questions or comments on that insurance issue? Any other general discussion this evening? No? I want to thank again Colonel Rector and Rockvale ROTC for being here. Deeply appreciate them taking time out to recognize our military, our armed services, and our veterans. I would like to also thank our veterans, our military, our armed services, and also our Sheriff's Department, who is always with us. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. We are adjourned.